So y'all drinking tonight? That's not enough woots. I'm drinking tonight. I used to get drunk here every fucking week because it was great. I don't do it much anymore. I think I'm trying to get there tonight though. Because like sometimes I just get in the mood and I don't drink like other people do. Like this, for example, this is a kamikaze. I'm not kidding. Y'all like do one little shot, like boom, it's gone. Like, fuck that. I drink.
You are not using real words right now.
No, not really. Yeah, I'm not really there yet. Alright, okay, the next guest to our stage, you just saw him a moment ago because he was filling in because I was busy peeing, is the former host of the AQ Open Mic, Open Poetry, and a really amazing guy, a ridiculously talented performer no matter what he does, even though we never know what the fuck he's going to do when he gets up here. Put him together for the one and only Ski!
That's the answer.
As I died, I could remember the few brilliant parts of my life. Now they say your whole life flashes apart before your eyes when you die, but I'd like to clarify this does not happen. What you get are fleeting images, sensations, memories, sounds. And what I got was childhood memories of eating grapes from the trellis that grew outside of my father's house. I remember running through the yard barefooted, the grass prickling against my feet. I remember the smell of roasting pork. And I remember your lips. Now, before I can tell you how I died, I have to give you some history. I want you to picture me as a child, maybe 11 years old, standing in a house that was built for the 70s, lime green and yellows, pinks and oranges, the most hideous combination of colors, and that all worn with age and desperation. And my father, an unpleasant, roundish, sluggish kind of guy with 3 hairs covering the plate of his head and a cigar or a cigarette perpetually in his arms. And I want you to imagine, as I can imagine as I die, him yelling at me, screaming at me for hours on end, the smell of cheap fucking bourbon in the air, and the smell of those god-awful fucking cigars in his hands, and it would fill the room. And there was nothing in the room except for me standing there, my tighty-whities, skinny little frame, shivering, as my father held onto one side and with the other arm screamed, "You know what it is? You're content. You don't have any ambition. You don't have any goals." I was a kid. This is how kids are. They're generally content with things, but you can't explain that. You couldn't fight against the rage. You couldn't fight against the alcohol. And as the cigar burned into my arms, all he did was look in my eyes and say, "Don't fucking move, boy. Don't fucking move. If you think this hurts, you got no idea what's coming. You stay, and you stay." And I stayed, and I stayed, and I didn't move. And at some point, he fell asleep. One arm holding on to my ribs, the other arm holding the cigar that had long since burned out, and the smell of roasting pork in the air. He died a few months after that, and I'd never seen a preacher before, but the preacher, as the body was cremated, said some nice things and said, "He's good now, he is perfect, he is made whole, he is in heaven." And it had never made sense to me until then. It had never made sense what all of the fucking burnings, what all those pockmarks on my arms and legs were for. But now I understood. Fire. Fire was the thing I had always missed. I thought my father was just being mean, but that's not what it was. He was trying to tell me a secret that he had learned. Fire makes you better. And that was a seminal moment in my life. That was when it all changed. I didn't get D's or F's. I didn't get called into the principal's office anymore unless it was to congratulate me on my grades. My grades became perfect, and I was lauded in front of the school for how good I had turned around, for how amazing my focus was, for how unwavering I was in my attention. Some of the teachers said it creeped them out, the way I could stand there for hours and stare at them, listening and absorbing everything they said. But I had discipline. I had discipline. None of the other people did, but I had discipline. And any time that my discipline started to waver, I'd find my way to get some cigarettes. There were always cigarettes around. And I would make sure that my father's lesson was reinforced on the inside of my thighs, on the inside of my arms. I tried to stay away from gym class. I tried to make sure I didn't make friends with people that would be too nosy about the weird smells around me, cigarettes and pork. High school was easy. Getting into college, even easier. Everything was going great. The first year, I was at 2 packs a week. My teeth never yellowed. My fingers didn't have the burn marks of a habitual smoker. My friends that I made wondered why I smelled like smoke, but I never joined them outside on the breaks. So I got new friends. Then, the second year, I was doing better. I was down to 1 pack a week. Some days I could leave the house and little bits of charcoal wouldn't fall out of the bottoms of my pants. I considered it a victory for discipline, for where I had become, for what my father had taught me. I was growing in to everything he was letting me be. And then it all came apart. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'd been in love a couple times before, but the difference is they were all pretty. They were all pretty. And all of those dreams ended really quick because the idea of a perfect porcelain, smooth skin on what I had, the scars, the burns, the smell, that ended like fucking that. But you were just as fucked up as I was, and I couldn't put those two apart. You weren't perfect. You weren't beautiful, but you could maybe be with me. And that first night when I stared down at you after all we had done. And I realized that you were still beautiful and that I wasn't at all beautiful. I decided there was only one thing. If I couldn't be good, if I couldn't be beautiful, well then there was only one cause. There was only one solution for that, and that was to make myself perfect. And as the room went up and you started screaming, I started screaming just so I could be with you in our last moments. And these thoughts flashed before my eyes. The taste of grapes from the trellis in my father's yard. The feel of the grass when I was a little kid. The smell of roast pork and your lips.
Yes, Keith. Nice. Woo! That was Keith.
I can feel it, like 2/3 of the people in the room are like,